Following the departure of Philip Schofield, ITV have now dropped Holly Willoughby.
I think it's false. They haven't dropped her yet, but there is talk that possibly she might be replaced and they'll just have Alison and Dermot. But I don't think it's true right now. Nothing's been announced. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they move her on to another show just so the scandal dies down.
The thing is with Holly Willoughby, it's whether she's going to be dropped from all the other things she's involved in. I think that's what we're starting to see with all these denials. It's not because it's the right thing to do. They're all in it now to protect their own careers. Absolutely. This stench and this stain of Philip Schofield is going to linger around for quite some time when it comes to this lot. And I think, you know, what she's the face of Oral-B, Marks & Spencer's, all these big top brands. Definitely. They'll start to wonder whether her connection to Philip is worth their kind of brand image.
I've got to say to you, I think ITV have got significant problems. Arnold Clark, their sponsor, say they'll pay out to the end of the term of the contract, but you can bet your bottom dollar that all of these advertisers will be speaking to their lawyers saying, can we trigger a bad faith clause? Because if your activities are going to negatively affect the brand, they're going to drop them. If Just Eat goes and Arnold Clark goes, you've got trouble. Now, helpfully, Ollie, you are a lawyer. now, obviously,
so I'm going to stop half this conversation.
No, so obviously you can't dish out legal advice here, but I don't see how these advertisers that want to pull the plug on ITV are going to be stopped from doing it because it's wrongdoing that has caused the situation.
No one knows the terms of the contract, but you do know that they came on board to advertise to a particular audience. They're attracted by a particular format, and that format was light, it was informal, it was friendly, it was trusted, all the things that the show now isn't under the previous presenters. So if they want to get selling back to the same people who are waking up expecting that same show, they're not going to get it until there is a sea change, and that does involve Holly leaving as well.
See, but that's what I find so fascinating, is you said presenters, plural, when the only one who's officially done wrong, allegedly, is Philip. But now, you know, obviously Holly's name's been thrown around, hence the question. But obviously Philip's career has gone way past the point of no return, obviously. But now, you know, a question obviously of how much Holly actually knew is fascinating. How much did the ITV execs know is equally fascinating. And I think it's going to be key to see how long the public are going to stay so engrossed in this story to see how far these allegations do go or not.
I mean, I don't mean to be critical, but when you get dropped by your agent and your agent's your daughter, I mean, that's quite a depressing situation.
Telling.
But look, I think Eamon Holmes has been absolutely venomous on this. And he says, effectively, it's inconceivable that these people didn't know that there were allegations of wrongdoing against Philip Schofield. But there is one thing about Holly Willoughby, Lacey, and it's this. We now know that when she said she was Philip Schofield's best friend, she was simply lying and couldn't stand him. So maybe that is a defence.
Absolutely, and I think definitely with these two now we've learnt there's a bit of a faux persona that was occurring all throughout the scenes, and clearly definitely more on Philip's side, considering he was lying for God knows how long.
I've been out and about in London talking to people about whether they believe Holly Willoughby should be dropped. Listen, you old soldier, should Holly Willoughby be sacked?
Yeah.
Willoughby or won't it be?
Don't know what that means.
Should Holly Willoughby be sacked?
Yes.
Why?
Because she was a part of it. She knew.
Should Holly Willoughby be sacked?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Cool.
Whereabouts are you from?
South Korea.
Should Philip Schofield move to South Korea?
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
No, neither did I. Should Holly Willoughby be sacked?
No.
She shouldn't be sacked. No. Oh my God. Wide load. Wide load. Do you think that Sadiq Khan has destroyed the streets?
Definitely.
Do you think Holly Willoughby would be a better London mayor?
She's better looking.
Should Holly Willoughby be sacked?
No.
Why not?
We love her.
Yeah. Why?
It's lovely. She's nice.
Fish and chips. Oh.
Bloody hell.
If Eamon Holmes and Philip Schofield were to fight, who would win?
Well, unfortunately, Eamon Holmes would win.
Because I think that it'd be like in WWF. Eamon Holmes would be like Earthquake, and maybe Schofield would be like Bret the Hitman Hart. So Schofield would have the agility, but the sheer firepower of Holmes sitting on you would end the match relatively quickly.
Leave her alone.
Why should we leave her alone?
Oh, well, seconding.
And that is the ultimate flip-flop.
What is it?
It's a TV camera.
For
What the hell do you think it is? Holly Willoughby.
Holly Willoughby?
Holly Willoughby.
What is it?
Wilby.
Wilby?
Won't be. Will she or won't be? In Germany.
It is blue.
Yeah. Well, well done.
You are too.
It's the level of analysis that amazes me.
I'm confused.
So am I. OK, well, that's what the public think. What do you think? Is it true or false that Holly Willoughby has been dropped?
I think it's false.
I would go with false because nothing has been announced yet.
Yeah.
She might be moved on to another show, but I think ITV want to protect her because she is their golden girl.
Yeah,
so
she is.
I don't think she's going anywhere right now. Maybe she'll be on a break for a little bit.
Yeah, but I'd say, I completely agree, but I do think it's false. For now, false for now.
It is absolutely false. And we're probably just going to put up at the bottom at time of recording. OK. Calvin Klein is facing a backlash after a bearded trans woman advertised a sports bra for women.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think this is probably true, but you see it with so many other brands that have actually gone down the rabbit hole when it's come, for example, to Bud Light destroying their credibility, but a range of other household names around the world that have tried to pretend that reality isn't an objective construct. Now, obviously, when it comes to advertising, when it comes to promotion, it's all about buying the lifestyle. And I'm not sure there are a huge number of women trying to buy these sports bras and other goods that are going to buy into that lifestyle. So I think they've shot themselves in the foot there.
I just realised you're doing the David Cameron magic wand point.
Well, now that I mentioned David Cameron earlier, now it's unstoppable.
There you go. No, I tell you what, though, the thing that I found most fascinating is I kept seeing the phrase, they've Bud Lighted themselves.
No, I've got to say to all of you, and I know I'm in a minority of this, but I'm really pleased with what Anheuser-Busch did over Bud Light, because it's now £3 a pint in Wetherspoons. Stack it high and set cheap. I've never had as much in my life. But,
as long as you're succeeding, Andre.
but Ollie, look, you're writing a book. What's it called? Gender Madness?
So it's about all of this wokeness, this gender madness and stuff like that, yeah.
But I don't understand the rule, right? So maybe you can help me. So Dylan Mulvaney is biologically a man but transitioning to be a woman, so he has to wear a sports bra because he's a woman, right? This person is biologically a woman becoming a man and has to wear a sports bra because they're not a woman but have breasts. I mean, so the position is you wear a bra whether you're a man or a woman or trans or anything else.
Right, but for this particular advertising campaign, I did see the pictures and it was shocking. It's not what Calvin Klein's about. Calvin Klein is synonymous with those 90s adverts. You had Kate Moss, you had these models, those beautiful black and white photography shoots. So it's going in the wrong direction and they're trying to please a very small minority. I mean, what woman is going to look at that advert and think, oh, you know, I'm going to go buy that sports bra. It looks really good on them.
Well, OK, well, we're going to find out because, and by the way, Lacey, this bloke's really attractive. Come on, let's have a look at the picture.
Like we said, we've seen it with Bud Light, but then let's not forget about North Face. They've just come out from their parent company overnight, lost 10, I think it was like 10% off their company worth or whatever it was. Something utterly ridiculous. But I don't understand why they keep doing it. But the one thing I always make on this point is, when is the trans community going to wake up and realise they're being exploited by these companies? This isn't representation. This is tokenism.
Absolutely.
This is trying to sell you something. They don't. Calvin Klein don't give a toss about trans rights, gay rights.
No.
None of these companies
100%.
do. And yet they continue to push this stuff time and time and time again. The trans community, the gay community on a whole, lap it all up thinking, oh, we're getting this representation. It's not. It is absolutely exploiting these people.
Absolutely right. Well done.
Well done.
Ollie, I just want to ask you about this. So this is almost like trolling, isn't it? So if I was a Bud Light drinker, and I was joking, I'm really not, but it's supposed to be about Middle America. It's supposed to be quite a manly product and whatever. You know, they're deliberately offending these people, and then it's the trans community that has to put up with it.
Absolutely. You know, this actually causes more harm to the LGBT community than anything else. So, for instance, the Dylan Mulvaney scandal, that upset, obviously, all of Bud Light's consumers, which were Middle Americans, you know, in kind of Kansas and Texas and stuff. And so, firstly, it alienated the customers. But secondly, Dylan Mulvaney is not even a good brand ambassador for the trans community because many people see them as mocking. And there was a video circulating on Twitter just the other day saying they're going to come out as a lesbian, they're attracted to women, they want a woman to impregnate them. Clearly mocking women, so that doesn't make the trans community look good. And then you have all these woke companies really shoving it down the consumer's face, and that's upsetting a lot of people because everybody's supportive of people however they identify, but when you shove it down, you had a story in America, Target had a Pride collection with tuck swimwear. It's offensive, and you're actually hurting real trans people, real LGBT
They lost
people.
$9 billion in market share. But
in 10 days.
Ollie, Most people on this on Saturday nights on TalkTV will know a little bit about you, but there's going to be some people who don't. You're somebody who felt forced down the trans route.
Yeah, so I struggled with identity for a number of years, and then I actually became trans. I had a lot of surgery and got to...
Really? I don't believe
you would never know. What gave it away?
The lack of expression.
That's probably the one.
yeah, if he smiles, his nose will fall off.
Literally, I can only do one expression, so it's smile or frown. So, you know, I did all that, and I was thought that was the key to happiness, and I'd struggled with gender dysphoria, and it wasn't. And, you know, I'm happy in myself now. I've woken up, and, you know, it's not for everybody. Some people generally, for their whole lives, they feel trapped in the wrong body, and, you know, that makes them happy. But for me, it just wasn't right. And, you know, I'm glad I've come out of that now. And what I'm trying to do is just, you know, warn that we shouldn't be doing this to kids, because it's kind of become a social contagion. There have always been trans people, but now we're seeing a huge number of kids suddenly transitioning. So that's what I'm trying to talk about.
I really worry about that, Ollie, because I do accept that people should have the right to do what they want to do. I don't believe in this born this way baby idea. I believe that you own your body and you have a right to do what you want with it. It doesn't bother me at all. My concern is that young people who do not know their own mind are being told that the solution to a mental health problem, which is their gender dysphoria, is to amputate their genitals. And that, I believe, is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. And putting these kids on hormones and puberty blockers, we don't know the long-term effects of these. There are people that detransition and, you know, they're incontinent, they struggle, they bleed. So it's really, really wrong to be doing this to kids. And kids can't consent to getting a tattoo. They can't buy cigarettes or alcohol. So why would you allow them to do something to their body that they don't even understand?
And we don't understand either.
Exactly.
Get you in there. There you go.
Okay, well, there we go. So, okay, have Calvin Klein faced a backlash? Well, I mean, you've seen the picture. we gave it away there. Let's just made it very easy. Right, okay, true or false?
I think we're going true.
It's absolutely true. You've got 40 points, but they've only got 38 because it was too easy. Right, okay. I know the answer to this question already. Gary Lineker.
True.
Okay. Let's debate it anyway. Gary Lineker believes climate protesters should be considered heroes and should be immune from being arrested. True or false?
Well, it's Gary Lineker, like you said. It's everything woke with Gary Lineker is always true. So he did actually say a comment defending climate protests and Just Stop Oil that are blocking the roads. He believes they're heroes and they have a right to do that, which is absurd, because what about the heroes that have to go to work every day to feed their families, the white van drivers that are struggling to get to work and now they're trapped, and the ambulance workers trying to get through? They're the real heroes. So Gary Lineker just proves once again he's so out of touch and just incredibly woke.
Well, do you know, because we've got a lawyer here.
I know.
I'm just, you know,
Does not constitute legal advice in England and Wales.
we never have anyone good on. No, look, I asked Extinction Rebellion the following question. At what point do they have a right to commit crime in a protest, right? So, essentially, I said to the guy, well, look, what if I decided I didn't like you protesting and I came to your house and poured paint over your head? And he said, well, you couldn't do that. And I said, but what's the difference? And he said, well, I'm trying to save the world. And it just annoys me, the narcissism of this, to sort of say, well, you have to adhere to the law, but I don't have to because my cause is more important than yours.
Well, there's a number of tests and steps that the police and the Crown Prosecution Service and the courts have to go through to get a conviction to actually penalise someone in the criminal justice system. And each one asks, is it in the public interest to take this forward? And if someone has come to your home, if someone is blocking traffic, it is in the public interest to prosecute, to bring charges and try to convict them and to put them away. Now, the really offensive thing that I found about Gary Lineker's comments is he and everyone else that's on his side of the debate have compared these protesters to the suffragettes, as if they are similar somehow. The suffragettes did not have a vote. That's what they were protesting for.
Yeah.
But these people, the Just Stop Oil people and the Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion protesters, all of them have the exact same vote and rights as we do, and they are demanding that they get more. Not equal rights, they want more rights to shove their views down our throats. And that is not...
Well, I have to say, when they said that they would shut down London unless... And these were the demands, weren't they? That they wanted effectively the abolition of the independent court, because they wanted to be allowed to protest in whatever way they want and have unique laws to them. They wanted to shut down independent media, i.e. they wanted to ban people from ever advocating for fossil fuels. And, of course, they want to abolish democracy by the creation of the Citizens' Assembly, or as I call it, a Supreme Soviet. because that's what it is. So effectively, you've said you are no longer. I mean, this is. It is just authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And, you know, notice how these people like Gary Lineker, they compare them to the suffragettes, yet you'll never see these people speaking up for women that are fighting for their rights. So when you have women in Hyde Park Corner, you have Posey Parker speaking up for their Let Women Speak rally, you don't see them defend them when they're getting attacked or assaulted by trans activists. You don't see them defending women sports players that are having their prizes taken away from them. So it's just completely hypocritical.
Pete, Gary Lineker.
Ugh. But yeah, so he's
just talk for a bit.
Okay, so yeah, it's Gary Lineker. I'm not really interested in anything he has to say, but one thing I am interested in somebody who has got something to say, and that was the head of the Met Police and the assistant, I think he was deputy commissioner or whatever, was in front of Parliament not so long ago being questioned, as they usually are, and he was asked about what is the limit here. And I think this is a really important thing to say. Like, whilst Oli mentions that there are steps and procedures, a lot of how this policing is done on how they're viewing it. It's very subjective. And if you ask most of the public now, they're like, arrest them, move them on. And this is the difference and the struggle I think that we're having is the police aren't on the same side as the public anymore. No. And I think that's where we are. And so as far as I'm concerned, the police are going to get somebody hurt. So you're seeing it time and time and time again. There was a video just on Twitter, I think it was just over the weekend, this guy who mounted the pavement and went around them. Like they're going to get somebody hurt. And I don't think it's the persons, whoever's going to snap or whatever and have a go at it. I think it is going to be the police's fault because they are putting this to a pressure and a pressure and a pressure, and it's going to pop at some point.
I do not understand why the law on prohibiting people going down the King's Highway or blocking the King's Highway is not enforced, but then moving someone out the way to stop them committing that offence is. It's just absolute madness. But anyway, look, I don't want to talk about Gary Lineker for much longer, so I'm calling the end to that, right? But OK, Gary Lineker, true. Yeah, OK.
Yeah.
Gary has he said that protesters should not be arrested?
He has.
Yes.
Yes, he has.
It is absolutely true! Now it's time to talk about today's prize. We have got, are you ready for this? We have got Philip Schofield's autobiography, Life's What You Make It. Yes, it is called Life's What You Make It. Now, what we did is we spent a few extra quid and got one that wasn't autographed. So there we have it. That is something that you can keep and treasure forevermore.
That was The Woke That Was, continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
OK, Rishi Sunak has asked supermarkets to cap the price of things like bread and milk and maybe even pot noodles. Is it true or false?
Well, so we have a huge price crunch right now and a cost of living crisis brought about by international demand increasing and supply falling. And that is where inflation comes from. It comes from too much money chasing too few goods.
Is it not quantitative easing?
Exactly. So the Bank of England has printed loads and loads of money over the last decade and a half, and it's chasing not enough goods because you haven't had the supply side reforms to get more stuff being made in our country. And the consequence of that is you end up with higher prices. You don't fix that by reducing prices or controlling prices. Everywhere the price controls are tried, they fail. They lead to shortages, they lead to empty shelves, and they lead longer term to higher prices because of lower supply. And it'd be a retrospective and damaging.
I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed, though, Ollie, and I'm not saying that the only reason for the cost of living crisis is net zero. What I do believe is that it does have a knock-on effect for prices. Do you know what? We've got this thing in Ukraine. We've got problems with supplies around the world. We've got the effects of the coronavirus. Why not drop the net zero, at least for a couple of years, until people have got back on their feet?
I think it's fundamentally how you get to net zero that's really the problem. The problem is you have politicians thinking it's about micromanaging every small decision in people's lives, manufacturers, producers' lives, small farmers' lives. And the consequence of that is they find it very difficult to increase supply. Whereas actually, if you trusted them by setting a global target and actually across the entire economy and reducing it in the way that makes most economic sense, through a price mechanism, through carbon trading, lots of schemes work like that. I think you get there a lot cheaper and a lot lower bills for households as well.
I love it when we have an economist.
No, he's not an economist. I thought he was a lawyer.
Both.
Actually, he just works in Tesco's and flagging it.
No, but I actually have to admit, I completely agree with Ollie on this, and it's been one of my biggest criticisms of net zero. Isn't that it's necessarily a bad idea? It's actually the entire policy approach has been a catastrophe from day one. Because, like you said, it's politicians trying to micromanage. It's that idea that we need to reduce consumption, reduce. But human beings don't do that. As a species, we've never done it. So, of course, it's got to be a backlash. Of course, it's got to work. But this is the thing. The policy agenda and perspective of net zero should have been shifted to be about a future idea, to be, like you said, well, all these different schemes of carbon trading, all the rest of it, they work, yet they always seem as something on the sidelines to do rather than the main focus of what it should be.
Look, I don't want to dwell on this, but Pete, as far as I'm concerned, it's what we always hear. You know, rather than embracing new technologies which are going to reduce pollution, instead we want to go backwards and start building windmills. But anyway, has Rishi Sunak unbelievably argued for price caps?
He has.
Yes, it's absolutely true. 93 points each. OK, Black Lives Matter. Hey, Black Lives Matter are facing bankruptcy after losing $8 million last year, whilst also paying some of their staff multi-million-pound payments. Is it true or false?
It's true. So the co-founder of BLM actually gave $1.6 million to her brother, who was a graffiti artist, and she paid him for security service, providing security. Not only that, they purchased multiple mansions in Los Angeles and also in Toronto in Canada. So they spent over $6 million in mansions. The co-founder of BLM has 3 mansions. So all of the money is being mismanaged. There were staff members that were related to her. The father of the BLM co-founder's baby received about $600,000 for services.
The problem was always the organisation of Black Lives Matter, not what they wanted to do or, you know, the nice ideas behind it. And now
nice ideas.
Well, you know, this kind of like putting racial justice front and centre.
But is that what they really...
Well, that's kind of how it started, and then it morphed into this horrible monster. But in reality, there was a big story of this, and there's a documentary being made about Black Lives Matter and about whether they've actually done any good. Even with the money they've spent, most people in America and even in the UK are looking around saying, wait, we gave you all that money. Where is it? And more importantly, what have you, the thing you have spent the money on, has it done any good for anyone? In reality, it's not.
Lacey, you know, obviously we're all white people sat here.
How dare you?
So maybe we're not in a position to comment particularly, but the thing that I really feel about Black Lives Matter is part of its central message was that the black community will be racially discriminated against, have no opportunities in Britain or America. Kids are just wasting their time. They're going to get shot by the police or whatever. And I actually thought that was really damaging to the black community in of itself.
Yeah, and I think that's what the rhetoric became, but I don't think that's what the origin story is. I think that's what you were kind of touching on, Peter, and I think that's beautiful. You know, I think all good ideas should start from a good ethical point of view, which I think it was raising awareness. Let's not forget their names for people that were being persecuted against in America. But what it became is something so far away, so detached from that in every way, shape or form. And to have people that are being funded millions of pounds, it's a barbaric statement in itself. But no, it's utterly horrifying that it's just deviated so far away from its origins.
Yeah, one of the more interesting things is the person who the Black Lives Matter brought in to kind of fix this problem has filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy 3 times already. So even the person they brought in to fix the problem is she's like apparently
at least, hang on, at least they know how to file the paper.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Is that what it is? They just got somebody who knows.
Do you remember when it was horrifying if you didn't take the knee?
Yeah, yeah.
And
or
that was
post
just
a black square on Instagram.
Taboo.
Yeah,
and like now, you know, you go back to what, you know, who were you representing? Were you representing the black people, Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
It's, you know, but that was a massive thing. I mean, we still laugh at the photo of Keir Starmer and Angelina. Yeah, it's
I just laugh at Keir Starmer.
I know, it is comical, but I just remember that being horrific. You know, what was it, the Euros going on, and like some teams are doing it and you get booed or not. And, you know, it's just horrifying how far it progressed. And it's just nothing true to its
divisive as well, because, you know, we should all be coming together as a community. We shouldn't be looking at different colours, you know. It's true there is racial disparity in America. There are many black communities that are disadvantaged. So they need to be supported. But what BLM should have done with all that money is actually fund underprivileged communities and help them, not wasted on mentions.
I mean, I don't want to comment on America because it is a very different situation, but Ollie, hasn't Black Lives Matter successfully segmented our society, fragmented our society between black and white? Because now, look, I get the impression, and certainly I hear people in the black community who really are pretty genuinely racist now, in a way that I just don't think they were before Black Lives Matter arrived.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you have schools in the US teaching critical race theory, basically to hate white people from birth. And it's actually, that's racist in itself. So it's like it's projecting racism on different communities because, oh, you're white, so you have more privilege and stuff. It shouldn't be that way. We should all just be coming together, supporting each other. We shouldn't be judging people on skin tones. And it's actually, you know, you see news articles in different newspapers saying that, oh, climate change is racist. And there was a comment about that recently. And you just think it's just gone to such an extreme now. Let's just get back to embracing each other, embracing different communities and stop judging
My favourite, I have to say, is when I worked at London City Hall when Lee Jasper had discovered, wait for it, a racist speed camera. which he claimed had been deliberately put on a street that was popular with black people. Right? Well, obviously ludicrous. But anyway, Black Lives Matter. Are they heading for bankruptcy? Is it true or false?
It's true.
It's true.
It's absolutely true! OK, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has blamed soaring knife crime on climate change. Is it true or false?
I think it's true. And to be honest, Sadiq Khan will use any excuse and any blame game he can engage in to avoid the responsibility for his actions. It doesn't matter if it's knife crime, strikes on the tube, failed upgrades, overruns, failed to build housing. His record's been poor, so of course he's going to try to blame anyone else but himself. And climate change is a really popular thing to blame everything on amongst his core vote within London. There's a group of people that will think everything is climate change's responsibility. That's an easy get out of jail free card, so he's going to play it as many times.
Well, look, I just want to ask you, Ollie, because you are somebody who, at the moment, you're a councillor, but not in London, but you're previously a London councillor for the Conservatives. Look, this is the thing that I worry about with Sadiq Khan. He is genuinely a terrible mayor of London. I don't think that anybody with any sanity could say that he's run anything well, whether it be Transport for London losing money, whether it's Crossrail being late, whether it's a knife crime epidemic. However, he is brilliant at blaming other people. And so there is an irony here that the worse he gets, the more electorally popular he becomes.
I think it's something to that. I mean, he is a brilliant politician in the sense of being good at the dark arts of politics. But ultimately, people have to call him out. And on things like knife crime, before the last London mayoral election, which, of course, he was re-elected in, but non-stop people were saying on the doorstep, in polls, in focus groups, we're not persuaded by what he says. So I think increasingly it become more and more of an echo chamber that he's shouting these excuses into. And longer term, people that do make excuses like that.
But Lacey, we are talking about a man in Sadiq Khan who blamed the knife crime epidemic on Boris Johnson. Now, just to be clear what that meant, Boris Johnson is Mayor of London. Obviously, Sadiq Khan replaced him. Knife crime goes up, so it's Boris Johnson's fault. Now, Sadiq Khan's transaction was, well, Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister. But literally, you've taken over this job. You are responsible for it. You failed, and you're blaming the Prime Minister. I'd say the other example, Lacey, that amazed me was when he blamed the government for the lack of PPE on buses, and he said, and get this, on TV, that the reason that wasn't PPE on buses was because the government hadn't told him to do it. Right? That was, so literally, because he hadn't been told to do it and he didn't do it, that's the government's fault.
That just shows you how belligerent he is. I mean, blame your predecessor and blame someone else for telling you not to do your job. I mean, you know, how idiotic can you get? But you're quite right. You know, it's just a continuous thing with him. That he just does resonate with his voters. But I found it really interesting what you were saying, Oliver, that he's now got to the point where it just simply isn't transferring into actual votes. And hopefully, goodness, I do hope that this time next year, round about this time next year, we won't have Sadiq Khan as London Mayor.
Well, absolutely. Amen to that, brother. I've got to say, I like Paul Scully.
Was that guy?
Oh, no.
You can't comment.
We can't comment.
Clearly nobody else does. My producers like Charlie Mullins.
I like him,
Who do you reckon's had more work, you or Charlie Mullins?
No, that's a good question. I mean, I would never comment on someone's appearance, but I've had 32 procedures, so it's kind of hard to beat.
No, but let's move on.
Okay,
so look, Has Sadiq Khan blamed soaring knife crime on climate change?
Do you think he has?
I think it's true.
Do you?
It is, in
climate
fact,
change?
false. Oh!
That was The Woke That Was, continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
OK, here we go. A woke theatre company is facing a backlash after making Charlie a girl in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Is it true or false?
It's true, unfortunately. I mean, this is the woke world we live in. This is actually happening. So they've replaced Charlie to make it more gender inclusive. So it's actually going to be played by 2 different girls. So they're going to take it in turns and alternate. But, you know, it's all nice to support girls, but why not have a girl playing Cinderella? You know, why do you have to constantly change these things to appease the woke crowd and stuff? You're actually, again, alienating theatre goers. They just want to see the original play, just like the original. And now, you know, what next?
Yeah, for me, I just don't really see what the point of it is.
Yeah.
Because the character of Charlie Bucket could be a boy or a girl, realistically. The gender of the child is rather irrelevant to the story. So this is my point when they start messing around with different actors and different types of people playing different roles, is if you're adding something new to the genre, adding something new, great, go ahead and do it. If you want to do Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from the view of an Oompa Loompa, for example, I would actually find that how you would do that would be quite an interesting thing to do. But the problem I have is they're doing this just for the sake of it, because all I can think of it is they've got low ticket sales. So you know, make it a little bit woke, and some idiots will go and buy it.
Who do you reckon's more orange, an Oompa Loompa or Lacey?
No, I stopped. Can you not tell?
But look. On the serious note, I mean, I remember when we had Frosty the Snowflake on That Was the Woke That Was, and the guy who played it said, look, there are unlimited numbers of genders and gender doesn't exist. And I thought, actually, that is true, though, isn't it? That is the way these people would talk.
I mean, they've even made Oompa Loompas non-binary, by the way, if you didn't know. So Oompa Loompas, they're rewriting Roald Dahl's books, and they're going to be now they, them.
I'll tell you what I don't understand about that, Ollie, and I don't want to be crass and offensive. More than I normally am. But I don't understand how you would want to edit a Roald Dahl book, but you would allow somebody to read pornographic content in a thong at a primary school. I don't understand that.
It just doesn't make sense. And you're right. I mean, when we've seen these viral videos of drag shows and you've got babies and you've got people gyrating and then reading books about pronouns and becoming trans to kids, that's wrong, yet they're going to change a beautiful, innocent book that's about chocolate, about Oompa Loompas and a factory. Why would you change that, yet you're going to allow these people to read to kids?
Absolutely. Well, look, we've got a photo, so let's see what we think of this. Come on, let's have a look. Yeah, I don't think...
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And just what Peter
I thought that was Heidi.
No, just what Peter was saying, you know, if it is for another if it's doing it to be purposely obtuse, to do it for woke's sake, then that's something else. But, you know, we're talking about a prepubescent child with a gender-neutral name. Charlie can go either way. Sorry, I don't mean like that. But seriously, you know, I don't think it matters that much. But if it's done for the wrong intentions, fine, absolutely. But, you know... Whatever.
Maybe they should change it to Fanny Wonka. Well, that is the worst joke I've ever made.
Yeah, well, that's saying something. No, but I just... What annoys me the most, I made this point earlier, is it just seems like tokenism. They're doing it for the sake of doing it. It's not real representation. Not really, is it? It's not really adding anything. It's just done because they feel like they have to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, because it's part of that theatre world. It's that kind of person. And they just feel like they've got to be inclusive.
Well, anyway, Pete...
It doesn't mean anything.
Anyway, Pete, is it true or false?
Sadly, it's true.
It is absolutely true. OK, so you've got 150 points, but unfortunately you've only got 107.
We're winning.
Right. It won't last. Don't worry.
I never win.
Actually, your team won last week because you weren't here. Absolutely. OK. Actress Jane Fonda has said that white men are to blame for the climate crisis and she wants them all to be arrested.
What?
You know,
All white men to be arrested.
Sorry,
let's be real. We are talking about...
Jane Fonda wants people rounded up on the basis of their ethnicity and put in camps.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That makes perfect sense. What do you think?
I think this is true, and the reason I think this is true is because when has Hanoi Jane ever been on the right side of a political issue? It's been 50-something years and counting. She backed North Vietnam and the Viet Cong during the Vietnam war. She backed the Soviet Union and apologised for them and said they weren't bad guys. And her track record has got worse and worse since. So I'm not convinced she could say anything that would surprise.
Did you hear, by the way, about the Jane Fonda workout video in Wigan?
No.
She was doing a workout video and she goes, "Come on, ladies, hands on thighs." And they all did that.
Oh, no, stop it.
I had to make a Wigan joke. OK, look, is it true or false that she wants all white men to be arrested?
I think it's
True.
true.
It's absolutely true. The former CEO of Google has said that AI could kill millions of people.
Yeah.
What we really should be talking about is putting in safeguards, talking about how it's actually going to affect our lives and preparing society for what is going to be another industrial revolution. And we're not doing that. And sadly, there are too many people trying to shut down AI and say, like, we need to stop it altogether. I'm like, you're wasting your time.
Do you know something, Lacey? Look, my uncle was in the magic circle. I'm going somewhere with this. My uncle was in the magic circle, and he said the first thing about understanding magic is you have to understand that David Blaine has not teleported. Whatever else has happened, he has not teleported. The reality is, AI does not know what you're thinking. It simply does not. What it is doing, it is going through a series of databases and analysing people's behaviour in a way to predict the future. But it doesn't know what you're thinking. It's not intelligent.
But the point of AI is it learns and adapts and grows, and it will get to the point where it's able to predict X, Y, and Z in the same way that a human mind can. And this is the worst.
Only if you do something predictable. And I'm being
saying
serious
that
when I say
we're
that.
fueling it. We're pumping fuel into the fire with AI because it is just such a new and exciting thing. And it's one of the things that's really terrifying me is young people's perception to it. They just think it's this fun little gadget. And they're never going to turn around and look away from it in a way that's frightening. I think a lot of us do. We see this, and we see this actually could be a formidable threat, as have many other people of significance in the tech world.
I'll tell you what I always do with AI. What you've got to do is give it a proposition that requires genuine intelligence. One of my favourite examples is ask it what the difference between wahabi and wasabi is. One is a type of Muslim, the other is a type of mustard.
Right.
It will not know the answer because that requires intelligence for you to analyse the difference between the two.
But then it tells you they don't know the answer to that, and they ask you to teach it, and then you do teach it, and then it stores that and uses that to progress.
No. But the point I'm making, Lacey, it might know what mustard is and it might know what Muslims is, but when you try and get it to compare the two, something that requires real intelligence, it doesn't have any intelligence.
But it will.
No, it won't.
It will.
No, it will. And
It
listen,
will.
this is the point, is that it is that learning, it's that expanding. And I think that's the bit that we need to talk about is how fast are we going to allow it to expand?
Absolutely.
And like you said, we are somewhat throwing fuel on the fire on this. But like I've made the point, it is going to happen.
Of course.
It's like people are arguing against this cashless society stuff. It is going to happen. If you want to talk about safeguards, that's what we should be talking about. How fast we go down this path is the conversation, not the destination.
But Pete, why do we think Google thinks, or the former CEO of Google thinks that AI could kill people?
Because potentially it could. Of course it could. Well, because this is the thing. It's about in the future. Right now, it can't.
It could
can't.
put Skynet online and start building Terminators.
Yeah, but this is the point. Like AI is going to become a part of, say, hospitals, for example. It's going to be integrated into so many aspects of our lives, and that's kind of what this guy is getting at. Is that the potential of it is very dangerous unless we start to be sensible.
All right, I'm a bit of a sceptic on this, but the only thing I've ever seen AI do is annoy me on customer service hotlines and give people a different face. They go, look, let's face tune you, but it's not you anymore.
But that's what's so frightening is that this has literally happened. What feels like kind of an overnight thing. We kind of closed our eyes, and then the next day, AI was everywhere.
Yeah, but
it's grown so much.
Lacey, I often have a go at you, but look, you're hot to start with. You don't need this face tune thing. Who cares? Who cares?
Because that was really
Ollie.
I was going to make the point about AI being used for deepfakes, which is basically very scary because I've seen things on TikTok where you think it's a politician that you know saying something very bad and damaging, and what if that is used against political opponents in the future to kind of discredit them and keep them out of a campaign, or even get?
I've said this example so many times, especially when Trump was in power. Because there were so many good deepfakes. Let's say that Trump has been faux to say, I don't know, something about Korea. How quickly do you think they would hesitate before pressing a button and just?
If Kim Jong-un pressed his nuclear button, it would fall off. Do we believe that the CEO or former CEO of Google has said that AI will kill millions?
I think he has. Yeah, I think it's true.
It is absolutely true.
That Was The Woke That Was continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
ITV.
Oh, no.
ITV have announced they're replacing Philip Schofield with a giant elephant, which will be left in the room during this morning. Right, OK.
I don't get this question because there's been an elephant in the room for years and years and years. It hasn't been mentioned.
Is this morning a white elephant now?
Right, exactly. Well, they're costing a lot of money to cancel those contracts and move people on. I don't think this is true. On the other hand, I think metaphorically, as I said, it's been true for a while.
Absolutely. Do you think that this morning will disappear, Lacey?
There's been a lot of stories about that, but allegedly nothing's actually been moved to AXA programme. I think people still like the programme in itself. I don't think that Philip and Holly, if we want to say that, are, although they are the kind of ambassadors of the show, I still think the show can exist without them. As successful?y probably not, but we've seen that
No. It would be even more successful if it had me and Danielle Nichols. But you have to tune in to TalkTV on a Saturday night to get that. OK, so has ITV decided to bring a elephant into the room instead of...
ITV haven't decided on anything for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Decisive. No, it is absolutely false. The Village People are planning to sue Donald Trump because he hired lookalikes to play Macho Man at Mar-a-Lago. Is it true or false?
Well, firstly, I know Donald Trump and he loves the YMCA. He loves the Village People. He's always dancing. He's got his very kind of iconic dance. He always plays it at his rallies. So I would say it's true because he's a big fan of them. And I've seen other musicians that have complained and threatened lawsuits when he has played their music at his campaign rallies. So I would imagine it is true.
Yeah, this is quite a common thing with a kind of more conservative-leaning kind of political parties getting in trouble with bands when they play their songs. It's like when you go to Conservative Party conference, I think there's been a couple of bands that have said, oh, they've just played the song, we don't support their ideas or whatever. But the one thing I would say, because obviously the Village People are very closely associated with the LGBT community. It's all these acronyms, it's tough. But do you have to remember that Donald Trump was the first Republican candidate to be president to wave the rainbow flag at the GOP convention. Like, this idea that, he's this kind of like anti-gay, anti-trans, there's just no evidence for it, really. And I do find it interesting that it's a narrative that's kept being pushed despite there being no evidence.
No, absolutely not. And it's really funny the way that a lot of these celebrities and singers don't like their music being used. Apparently, Heather from M People has said that Proud cannot be used anymore on any more political videos. She keeps, what have you done today to make you feel proud? It's on everything, isn't it?
I think a lot of it's a PR stunt. These bands haven't been around for 40, 50 years. They just want attention. What better way than to criticise Trump? It gets you on all the woke networks. CNN can, slag him off, MSNBC. So I think it's just that. And like Pete said, Donald Trump is very LGBT friendly. He always has been. He loves the YMCA. That is his favourite song.
Has Donald Trump received a bit of legal problem from the Village People over the use of lookalikes in Macho Man?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is absolutely true. Now, this is actually an extraordinary detail because apparently the Village People are quite happy for him to play the music. They just didn't like the lookalikes pretending to be them because somebody was eating their lunch. Yeah. Anyway, OK, a schoolgirl has run away from drag queen story time and has been charged as a result with a hate crime.
I don't know the story, so I'm tempted to say it's false.
False. How do you feel about drag queens,
before you do, because Ollie's our resident expert. Do you know, they always say that in the House of Lords there's an expert for everything, other than homosexuality and prostitution, where they all start going, well, I'm no expert on this one. But you are our person who knows a little bit about trans. This drag queen story time, are we just getting hysterical about nothing, or is it a serious problem?
So obviously you have many drag queens that are class acts. You had, Barry Humphries, Paula Grady, fantastic. So there are some really fantastic ones out there. But the issue is there are drag queens out there that are corrupting the community and giving them a bad name. So you do have drag shows that are pushing gender ideology on kids, whether what they're reading.
But Ollie, sorry to pull you up there, but I don't understand what the value is of. I mean, I get a gifted actor who also does drag reading stories. I get the idea of engaging in interesting costumes. I just don't understand why it's drag story time. I think it reminds me, and I was trying to think of an analogy. It's almost like going into a car showroom, buying your favourite car, and before you leave, having them pour ketchup all over it because you also like ketchup. And you think, but a car and a sauce don't go together in the same way as schools and drag just don't go together.
I mean, you know, when I was growing up, I remember you'd have a visit from the fireman, or you'd have a
Yeah.
vet come in and tell you about how to take care of animals, or a nurse, or even a police officer. And you know, that's the kind of person that should be going to schools to educate kids. What educational purpose does it serve for someone dressed up in makeup, reading a book about gender ideology and pronouns? It just doesn't serve a purpose. So, you know, kids should have role models that are actually going to benefit them.
I think you're spot on there. I personally, I love drag. I think they're some of the most talented people. They can sing, dance,
Well, you've been doing it for so long now.
do makeup, do hair. Often they can do gymnastics, comedy. Like, you can't name anyone in Hollywood who can do all those things. I think they're...
Bruce Forsyth could do it. He'd give you a song, he'd give you a little dance, wouldn't he?
I mean, they're very, very talented people, but they have a place in society, and that's where they should belong. And I think where this crossover lies is just inappropriate and, frankly, just disgusting. But
I'm really sorry to say this, but for legal reasons, we have to say that Bruce Forsyth was not a drag queen. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about that.
All right, somebody in the Lloyd's office is going to have to explain that one to me.
Apparently that is not obvious.
No, but I actually have to admit, I do pick up on what Lacey's saying here. That I don't get why it's even a thing in the first place.
No.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But then when you ask people who are in favour of it, like, they say, oh, well, why wouldn't you? I was like, no, you're the one that wants to do it.
Absolutely.
You've got to justify it to me.
I completely understand why you might say to somebody, look, you are somebody who, as I say, is a gifted actor. You're somebody who's a gifted performer. We'd love to bring you into schools, but do a child-appropriate version of it, which is not a thong and dressed up this and whatever. It's perfectly fine. I mean, most people who do any form of acting can alter the role. That's the nature of acting, right? So I don't understand why it's a problem. Anyway, is it a hate crime to have run away, though?
it can't. Surely false. False?
False.
It is absolutely false! I've given up, I'm confused. OK, well, congratulations then to our winners, who are Ollie and Pete, and commiserations for our losers, who are Ollie and Lacey. That book now is winging its way over to you. Stay tuned now for James Whale, and I'm off to misgender myself and run a drag story time. Until next time, goodbye!